Good evening, good evening. It's Kimberly here, your nurse of 25 years. I am doing a little get ready with me, and we're just going to go along and get into it. I'm getting ready for my ER shift tonight, and I've got some jamming I got to do because I am, again, always a little behind. But yeah, let's get into it. If you are new here, I appreciate the viewing, and if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be amazing to me. So hit the bell, and here we go. If you are one of my subscribers, I am so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm going to try something a little different tonight. I'm actually going to try to do my eyes first before I put my foundation on. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to be using some of my paint pot from MAC. This one is, I usually use Painterly, but this one is Bare Steady. So we're going to do this. I'm just going to put a little on the brow. What I had been doing was, putting a little foundation on over my eye area, and I had gotten away from using my MAC bases. So I actually really like the MAC bases better than just foundation on the eyelid. They adhere to the eyeshadow and give you a little oomph with it sticking and with it lasting for all night long. 12-hour shifts can be quite an ordeal. So I do not retouch up my makeup at work. I tend to, one and done, get ready, go out the door, and that's it. Sometimes feel a little haggard by the time I get off in the morning, especially with all the masking that we do. So put a little bit over the eyebrows. I use my finger on this one. A lot of other stuff I do not use my fingers on, but with the bases, I tend to do that. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of my burgundy brownish color that is here on my trusty MAC palette. I've got one of my good brushes. I have bought some new brushes recently, and I don't know why I do this, but I tend to keep my brushes forever, long past their expected lifespan. And it's always nice when you get some new eye brushes and help makeup go on amazing. I have got some outer corners I'm doing here with the color. We're just going to highlight the area right under the brow bone, kind of blend it with the rest of what's on the brush and go up. I'm careful about how I carry it over to the inner corner. Just everybody's face structure is different, and I tend to like, just going real light when I get to here. So, what is going on in this world? Oh my goodness, it's been quite a week. I had not spoken much on the assault that happened to the nurse in, I believe it was Florida. Please, forgive me if I'm wrong about where this occurred. I saw that last week, and it was heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. I was talking to a few coworkers and colleagues of mine about it, and it just was so devastating to see what had happened to her. But, we all kind of have the same sentiment. Even where I work, we always say, it's, with somebody hurting someone, it's not if but when, and it's happened before. We've all, if you've been a nurse for any length of time, you have either been assaulted, grabbed, or you've known somebody who has, and it's always just a very painful thing to see. So my thoughts and prayers are with the people who were hurt in that assault that happened. And I just, I think what was most devastating for most of us was hearing the hospital administrator and the way he spoke about the nurse when this happened. He definitely was more worried about other things, and it kind of has sparked a conversation and fueled a fire of what we all have been feeling, that most administrators do not care. And what do you do? I mean, what do you say about that? There has to be some accountability to this. There has to be more safety. And I think that so many of the for-profit, I say for-profit, most of these are nonprofit hospitals, but come on, let's be real here. These CEOs are making a fortune on the backs of the staff, and they're taking whatever is remaining in the coffer at the end of the day and giving themselves multi-million-dollar paychecks, which is absolute nonsense. So for-profit, nonprofit, whatever it is, the thing is they're fueling their own, issue with greed and their shareholders, and this is a human industry. And when you have people like these disconnected CEOs and disconnected management in hospitals, it's never a good thing. It's always a recipe for disaster. I'm just putting a little darker on the outside corner here. I'm probably going to go in with my MAC shadow that's a darker gray over the lid for tonight. I'm probably going to be wearing some navies, but anyhow, I have been, convicted in my own right recently with how I've been feeling, and I really was having a lot of angst and stress over things I was seeing in what's happening in nursing, what's happening with layoffs, what's happening in my own genre where I'm at right now. And when I say convicted, I just felt like, I'm trying to get my mindset into a better space. I just felt like I was hitting a low with all of the bad news and all of the stuff that's going on out there. And it was just making me feel very upset and angry and frustrated and sad and all the things. And I just needed to kind of recheck myself on how to cope with that, because I know how to cope with that. And I've been through lows in my career where I've had burnout, and I think I've been feeling a little burnout, to be quite honest. Just, it's been a lot of crazy at work lately, and I'm not talking about the patients, I'm just talking about staffing and all these things coming out where people are worried about their jobs, and there's just been a lot going on. So what do you do when you are stressed out, burnt out, your check engine light is on in your own body, and you're kind of in a place where you're not feeling like it's going to get better? It's a tough call. The only thing I can tell you is that attitude is everything. I'm not trying to preach any positive toxic, or what do they call it, toxic positivity here. What I'm talking about is that we have to the only thing we can control is ourselves. We can only control our own attitude. We have no control over our environment. And what you can do is try to control how you perceive things or your own attitude, and just refocus on what you can do right here. Because sometimes that's all you can do. You can only deal with what's right in front of you. Worrying about the bigger picture is not necessarily going to help. It's only going to stress you out even more. And what I try to do is try to say, I'm going to give 100% to this patient in front of me right in this minute, deal with it minute by minute, and try to continue to do an amazing job for my patients that I serve. And try to, focus on diminishing that negative rhetoric that goes on in our head, and the ruminating about things, the stressing about things we have no control over. It's not something that's an easy task to do. Sometimes, trying to reshift or shift our mental space can be one of the hardest things we do, because all of the factors around us tend to be, screaming other things. Like, our check engine light is on, but so is everybody else's. And we're here, we hear so much things, so many things on the news. We hear so much going on out in social media spheres. And sometimes we have to take a break and put ourselves on a diet from all of the garbage that's going on and feeding us the information that, in the moment feels like we want to know or need to know, but it doesn't help our mental health or our mental well-being. So, I've kind of put myself on a diet from, the socials right now. I'm just limiting how much time I spend on, scrolling and looking at things. I am trying to remain informed, but at the same time, just trying to focus on the love of family, the people around me that I care for, and doing the best job that I can with the people in front of me. The other thing I wanted to talk about, again, which you're going to hear me talk about this over and over. So if you're not down to talk about goals and where you want to be, this might not be the space for you. I want to talk about, what do you want for yourself in the next 5 years? What do you want to do with your career? Where do you want to be? What's going on as far as your goals with where you want to live? Do you want to have a family? Do you want this to be a time of career growth? Do you want this to be a time where you're looking at putting down roots and buying a home? And that's a whole nother animal. I'm going to tell you from experience, this is not the right time to buy a home. Now, don't believe me? That's fine. look at the financial analysts out there. If you're thinking about buying a home right now, I'm going to tell you, maybe it's time to just press pause, because there is a lot happening in this world with the markets, with the stock market as of today. There is a lot going on. There's a lot going on with the housing market changing and shifting as we speak. And if you were gonna take any advice from me, I'd say press pause on it for just a few minutes. And I know that if you want to buy a house, that's hard to do because, it seems like there might be some deals right now, but I guarantee you there's probably gonna be some deals down the road. The stock market has changed a little bit in the last few days, and last week it started to trend in a downward direction. The housing market in areas around the country has started to trend in a downward direction. And if you talk to some real estate agents, they're going to be like, oh, that's hogwash. Everything's the strongest it's ever been, blah, blah, blah. Sure. But there's a lot happening right now with the economy, with jobs, with cuts going on at major companies. And people are listing their homes to sell. I know it's pre-spring, and that's not uncommon, but there are some trends I want you to look at with the companies that have announced their next quarter plans for layoffs, and including the federal government. Don't get me started on that. We're not even talking about that one tonight. There is plans for restructuring and downsizing in a lot of major companies right now. So there will be a lot of layoffs. And when layoffs happen and the unemployment goes up, then jobs also follow. I mean, not jobs, but housing market also follows, and so does the stock market. So when I say, where do you want to be? Do you want to buy? That's fine. Get ready to do it. Start socking that money away. Do what you can to put yourself in a good position for the next year or two. But if you have the ability to stay in a rental space, and it can make sense for right now. This is just some old lady telling you what I've seen over the last, 30, 40 years. I've been in the market. I actually was going to be buying a house, and for a number of reasons, including what's going on at my own employment, I have had to press pause because I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I see that the markers are there for the economy to change. And I don't want to be on the losing end of it. And I'm not worried that I'm going to miss out on some amazing deal. What's meant to be is going to be, and we shall see. So I've done my eye palette here. I'm just kind of cleaning up a little bit over here. And then I'm going to put my foundation on. And my time says it's 6 o'clock. So I'm going to give myself 8 minutes. We'll see what happens. That's max because I've got to get my hair dry. I've got to go to work. And I know it's been really busy at work, and so let's move on. I'm gonna put my eyeliner on real quick. I think I'm gonna go with Makeup Forever. I think that sounds like a plan. So this is my it's like a deep plum Makeup Forever. I think it's like a plum, between a plum and a brown, and I do like this one. So let's just do this. Let's see if we can do it without arfing it up. Okay, I always say that, but it can be rough. I have done a couple of videos where I actually turned the video off while I was doing this, and I made a bigger mess than if I had just left it on. And it's kind of hard because I'm doing this from a couple feet away from my actual mirror, and I get to this one spot and I always want to go a little further than I should. So I'm going to the outer corner here. I'm going to give myself a little baby wing today. Little baby wing. There we go. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. One down, one to go. I am going to take my typical washcloth here that I always do, wipe off the eyelashes so I don't get the clumps. I bought a new mascara today. I actually bought it yesterday. I went to Costco. They had 3 packs of a Maybelline. Let's see, it's called Firework. So it is a Maybelline formula, the Lash Sensational formula. So I have been using this one, which I love, and because I replace my mascaras every month. I had an eye injury with infection like a year ago, and I've just been really cautious about my eyes. So I like to be able to swap them out without a huge, massive hit to my checkbook or my bank account. And so Firework has a very nice little applicator. I don't know if you can see it. It's got this similar applicator that the Lash Sensational has. Not as intense. The Lash Sensational has more of a curve to it, but we're going to try it out and we'll see how it goes. All right, so I've got my eyelashes cleaned off on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Let's hope this goes well. So, okay, so what's next? Where are you at work? Are you in a space that you love? Are you in a space that you're just surviving right now? Are you doing what you want to do with your career for the long-term plan? And that means, like, are you just working in a place for, is it a stepping stone for where you want to be? Or are you in the unit you have wanted to be in? And I know a lot of young nurses message me and ask me, like, that age-old question, how do you get into the ER? And ERs are tricky places. ERs, you have to, I believe you really need some experience if you're going to go into the ER. Now, there are ERs that offer new grad training programs, and to that I say, awesome. If you can get into a place that's going to invest in you in a new grad training program, thumbs up. Because not all places are doing that, and a lot of places want a quick hit reward. They want the nurses to have some experience, not be too expensive, or have too much experience that they can't afford their nurses, and it can be rough to enter. And it can be rough to enter not just because of employers. It can be rough to enter because of staff as well. It can be rough to enter because the threshold or point of entry for your level of experience can be a barrier if you're newer in the craft. Okay, little baby wing, and then we're going to call it a day and not overdo it here. Little baby wing. Okay. And I say ERs can be tricky places because there's a lot of big personalities in the ER. We tend to be very, we're an interesting group. We're a fun group, I will say that. Sometimes laid back, sometimes really anal, but we can be a fun group of people. Tend to be, fly by the seat of our pants kind of people. Some of us have been in other units, like I myself was in ER before I came to emergency department. I actually started in the ER. For those of you that are new here, I'm going to put in a little tiny bit of concealer here because definitely feeling the darkness under my eyes. So I started as a new grad in the ICU, but I had worked for about 5 years in the emergency department. I started doing clerical admissions, and then I ended up getting a job as a tech. And back in the day, dizzle, 30 years ago, we called it a ward secretary. We were still doing paper charting. Yeah, I'm that old. So we had those old, I think they were not Scantrons, but they were the old cards that were the blue cards that went in this machine. And we would stamp those on every chart and have to put our orders in on paper. And, I would actually write an order down on a ticket, and I would call the unit, like radiology or lab, and that patient, I'd have to give the ticket to the department to, run it over there to get the orders put in. Kind of crazy, I know. Like when we would have a trauma, there would be like a pre-printed trauma pack that would get stamped with all the labs, and it was just like, this was before we had standing orders and all those things. So it was really an interesting time to be alive, and I have no regrets whatsoever. But back to what I was saying, I started in the ER. I ended up working my way up and, ended doing, clinical work, and I had a lot of amazing nurses who were in the ER who taught me a lot of things, and for that I'm so grateful. It helped me with my schooling. It helped me get a footing on nursing and understand some of the basic things before I even started school. Then I went to ICU. Went to ICU, had, several years there, and got my, basis for clinical care in the sense that I felt like it was great because I learned systems, I learned organization about how to do my patient care and charting. I learned about drips. I learned about ACLS stuff. I didn't earn crap is the bottom line. When I was a new grad, I was making 17 something an hour working in the ICU. Never got a raise until like right when I quit. They offered me a raise. I'm like, you were paying me $17 an hour to work in one of the most intense ERs in the country, doing transplant, neurosurgery, all the most intense job, and they were paying, I'll never forget it, they were paying travelers like 10 grand in bonuses to do a contract, and yet they weren't paying their staff diddles. I mean, I knew that some of those nurses were making 40, 50, 60 bucks an hour at the time, and here I was making $17 an hour in an ICU, and they wondered why they couldn't keep staff after 3 years or whatever the amount was. We had to sign a thing that we would stay for 3 years, and that's changed quite a bit since I was a nurse. Like, it hasn't changed in the sense that hospitals will get you to try to do it, but it has changed in the fact that most nurses today know that legally, in my state, that's actually not a legally binding contract. They can't keep you for X amount of time and then expect you to pay it back. There's still question on whether it is or is not legally binding, but if they were to take it to court or try to come for you, it's pretty hard for them to do. So if you're looking at signing any kind of contract, especially if you're a new grad and you're learning something, I'm not talking about the kind where you received $100,000 sign-on bonus. Thing is, they're not going to pay you those until you're done with your contract anyway. So that's how they get away with that. But if you're a new grad and it's in exchange for training, holding you for 3 years, not going to happen. So I wouldn't stay for 3 years anywhere. I would give them 2, maybe 3 if it's something as far as learning goes. I'm looking for my bronzer, my Rare Beauty. I've got my Happy Soul here. I'm going to go in. Yeah, I said 8 minutes, and here I am, I'm at 21 minutes on this video, 21:35. God, dog, I am such a lagger today. Anyway, I think that you have to reevaluate what you want to do as far as long term if you're in a place that isn't paying you what you're worth. And that's another thing I learned a long time ago is always, look at what your value is to a place and never accept less than your worth. If someone is paying you meager pay for a big job, you need to reevaluate. And changing jobs is hard. We do know this, but you will survive, I promise, and you'll usually be better for it. And there, that's that. So I'm going in down here on the bottom of my shin and underneath, So I'm doing this part, and we'll put my mascara on, maybe touch up the brow just a hair, but then I have to dry my hair, get ready, and go. So what have I been doing this last couple of days? I had a couple days off. I have had my family here. My kids are here. My granddaughter is here. My granddoggy is here. So I have a whole house full of people, and I have loved every minute of it. I love having the kids here. I love having my granddaughter. I just really want more time with her. So they're getting ready to leave the state as of tomorrow or the next day, which I am so bummed I have to be at work tonight. I am just sad that they're going to go, but I am going to be working on making some plans to travel and go meet them in different locations. They're going to be doing some traveling. My son has a remote job, so he's able to do that. So I'm happy for them. And yeah, I'll be doing some traveling probably this late spring, early summer. And we're going to be doing some sightseeing and touring around the country. And I will be meeting up with them to enjoy more time. But yeah, I've got a full house right now. I actually almost didn't film this video tonight because I don't think they know I have a YouTube channel. I have been trying to do this with some anonymity, and I haven't really told them much about it. And they had to go out for a little bit, so while I was getting ready, I was like, I'm going to shoot a quick video. We'll get this ready for upload. I'm about 3 videos behind as far as what I do. I have 3 videos, 2 or 3 videos in the bank as far as ready to go out for the following week, and then this video will probably be posted sometime mid next week, I think Wednesday or Friday. So we shall see. So tonight is Friday night. I like this mascara, actually. I think it's doing a really decent job. I don't want to overdo it. And I probably already have. What do you think? Yes? Going on lightly. Kind of like it. We'll see. I always like to say I will see on a mascara on how it wears. If it starts flaking off during my shift or causing me irritation to the eye, it's a dunzo. It's gonzo. So we might have a new favorite on the hands. We'll see. I think I've probably tried every mascara out there known to humankind. I have spent the low budget money and the high budget money. I have bought mascaras that were $45. I did that last summer and purchased something I thought was going to be a great mascara. I was so sold on it because I had gotten a trial on a little baby one from Sephora. And then I bought the big one and I absolutely hated it. It was such a disappointment to realize that mascaras are something that just because you spend a big price tag on it doesn't mean it's going to be an awesome mascara. And anyone who knows that it's not always the price point that determines it, and they'll try to sell you on it's all these amazing things, but just, be aware. It's best to change your mascaras out. I don't typically give out medical advice, and this is just a health thing. Mascaras should be tossed about every 4 weeks. They do grow bacteria once, like food. They do have antimicrobials in them to a degree, like a preservative, but after you've been dipping in the paint over and over and over and putting it on your eye and back in again, it can get filled with bacteria. So you do want to keep, your eyes healthy. You want to make sure you're not getting anything too crusty. As far as when it starts getting thicker, or you start feeling like it's irritating your eyes, it's definitely time to change. And you don't want to wait till you get to that point to change your mascara. Where are we at on time? Dang it. I am really behind. So I'm just touching up my eyebrow a little bit. They are really light. I have very blonde eyebrows, not blonde all the way, but I have brow hair. It's very light on the edges out here. And yeah, so there's that one. I kind of filled that one in just a hair. I'm going to bring this inner edge out here just a smidgen, and we go really light. We don't go crazy and draw like a crayon on the brow. It's best to have it a few light strokes and blend. Now, everybody's got their different take on eyebrows, but I like a lighter brow. I don't like anything crazy where, I like that Jules, the very demure, very, we don't do anything crazy. How we go to the job, or the interview is how we go to the job. So, I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't know. I probably am. We're going to put a touch of bronzer on the outside here. Oh, the lip. They're the lips. Okay, touch of bronzer here, touch of bronzer here. Got the powder. I'm a little congested right now. I have been taking my pregame cocktail. I actually missed it for a few days. I ran out. And I don't know. I'm praying I don't get sick. I've got a little tingle in the throat. Okay. This is the Rare Beauty. I draw an X right here over just because it defines the upper lip a little bit. I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury, my favorite lip. This one is actually Pillow Talk. Do I want Pillow Talk or do I want the other one? I think I'm going to go with the other one. Nah, let's go with Pillow Talk. All right, that's it. So thank you for coming along for my Get Ready With Me. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love it. Thank you so much. Hit the subscribe bell. You'll get notifications regarding when my videos are coming out. I'm posting 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You'll see some shorts in there. But again, I thank you, and I will see you on the flip side.